We are live. It is 8:02 p.m. Eastern on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. 2021, and we are NasCanucks presented by Viberprint, your Canadian NASCAR podcast. Check it out here because it's not available everywhere. It's just available here. Welcome. I'm Ben. This is Doug, and we're talking Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. Had to do it.
Were they in
I didn't
Kansas
do it
City?
last week.
Were they in Kansas City?
Well, whatever. Kansas. I don't know.
Because they're in Kansas. Isn't Kansas City in Missouri?
Well, it's in Kansas as well. There's both. It's one of them.
One's bigger than the other.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And it ain't in Kansas. It kind of spilled over. Kansas City spilled over into Kansas somehow, some way. So, yeah. So, let's see what we have. 3 races happening at the track over the course of the weekend.
Yes.
You know, Doug, you've been saying for a month you've been snoozing through races. You know what? If there was a weekend to sleep through, it was this one. Because starting with the ARCA, did you watch the ARCA race?
No, I didn't. I forgot that it was
You didn't miss anything. You know, because there's that one car that's faster than all the others. The young kid that you seem to like. You know, what's his name there? Kid Gibbs?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah, Gibbs. Yes. Yeah. He led every lap. You know?
Yeah, well, you know.
Now, granted, there was, I think in that race, there was a red flag on the first lap. Or was that the truck race? No, it was the ARCA race. Because there was a nice T-bone.
Yeah, both drivers,
okay. But, yep. There's a couple of wrecks, but he led every lap, and it was one of those, hey, if you like your throwback racing, folks, that's the one for you, because there was like 4 cars on the lead lap. You know how it is in some of those ARCA races. Just the separation of the field is so huge. It's like you swear a third of the field only has 3 gears, and none of them are top gear. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 of them are reverse.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it. So,
yeah. Well, we got to hear a lot about the ARCA using the composite bodies, you know, that they also use in the Xfinity Series. I don't know why the trucks don't use them. They always mention Xfinity Series uses them, ARCA Series uses them. I guess the trucks, they're too good for it. So fine. Yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot. We had Matt Crafton in the booth. That was cool. Hey, Absolute Mayhem.
Yeah, Crafton. Was it Crafton and
Phil Parsons?
That's it.
Along with Jamie Little. And she's, like getting better every race. I forgot to mention it last week because she got to call races 2 weeks in a row. But and it was a timing thing. Remember I was saying there was some dead air, this and that. It was a timing thing. Like I noticed now, like when they come to green, she does that. Just let the command go. Possibly they have a spotter radio on. They like doing that. But she didn't wait that extra 2 to 3 seconds that seemed like that pregnant pause. She was right in it. And her and Phil, more and more. And Phil is a great. He's been doing it a long time. He's a pro. Is Phil Parsons this generation's Ned Jarrett in the booth? In many ways.
Could be.
Without the championship, mind you, but
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't want to compare him to his brother because his brother was a different personality. His brother was always much more bigger personality.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I think so because he's the guy that's been in the car, knows what's going on.
Yep.
But isn't that overwhelming personality? Shall we say?
Exactly. Yeah, like some people would say, Phil Parsons, what personality? No, it's there. He's just that white bread personality, which is fine. Speaking of white bread, couldn't make it to call the truck race. Joey Logano was battling food poisoning all weekend.
Food poisoning. So we got, I didn't watch that other one, but double dose of Phil.
Yeah.
Which I think he was a really good compliment.
He down Mikey a lot.
To the win back, yes.
Yeah. And the nice thing is because they were both veterans and they obviously know each other because before Michael Waltrip, in MWR as an owner, before he was the driver for DEI, he was a journeyman driver for a long time, much like Phil Parsons. Because if Phil wasn't at that time probably a pit reporter, much like Mike Wallace. I always thought it was weird when we were teenagers. There's Rusty in the Cup Series. We heard about young Kenny, and then there's Mike. I was like, oh well, Mike. He's the commentator. He went that route. Like Dale Jarrett's brother Glenn, and then all of a sudden you see Glenn Jarrett in a bush ride, or it's like, no, these guys just that's what you do. Like your Parker Kligermans these days, they'd love to be behind the wheel.
Yeah.
So,
and then speaking of the truck race, as we're now going on to that.
Yeah, because Gibbs led every lap. There you go. Done.
Yeah. I don't know. Was it the anniversary of Phil Parsons' win at Talladega on Saturday?
Could have been.
Could be, yeah, because...
They could have mentioned that during the second part of the truck race, which I had to watch on highlights on here. Thank you, Kojiko. Service tech's out again this Thursday, Doug.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think Michael Waltrip said that about like 8 times.
Oh, there we are.
During the race. He just kept saying.
I got the
video.
I got the first 70 laps of what I like to call it Kyle Busch first practice and happy hour, because you'll see, folks.
Yeah.
You've been preaching it for a year, Douglas. When the boy gets practiced, laps on track.
But Sheldon Creed did really kind of control that race for most.
He did.
John
Hunter Nemechek was involved just enough to be involved, right? He was there, but he wasn't there.
Yeah. The one thing that the common theme throughout the race, though, what I see of it was, Kyle Busch starting on the front row.
Yep.
Absolutely horrible.
Yes.
He went backwards every time.
Yeah, whereas traditionally he starts at the back for whatever reason and then comes up through the field, which I think he needs that, because it motivates him. He builds up momentum. And part of it is, like you're going to pass the slower trucks first. You're going to whip by them, but you're building momentum and confidence as well. So you're like, oh yeah, I got to run here. I can do this. I'm just going to, it's Days of Thunder. I'm coming up through the field. And that's the way Kyle drives.
Yep.
It was great to see. Yeah. And he was, involved the whole race. Sheldon Creed as well. Man, somebody needs to sponsor him.
More into that in a couple of minutes.
Good. Okay. You mentioned off-air news, and I said, don't tell me.
Yeah. And not happy. But anyway.
Okay. So, Canadian Stuart Friesen was mixing up in there. And it had to be pointed out by number one cheerleader, Michael Waltrip. Hailie Deegan, finally competitive.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm not saying doing well, but at least competitive. She's not Jimmy Johnson anymore. Mm-hmm. More on that later.
But no, yeah, and yeah, like she was there, but she again faded. Like she was kind of near the top 10 at the end, but then faded.
I think possibly overdrove the truck, just used up the equipment a little too much earlier in the race.
And then, I guess what didn't help her was they brought her down pit road that last caution, and that put her back.
Well, I get it. They were trying to give her some fresh good years to do something at the end there, but unfortunately it didn't work. And poor Jennifer Jo Cobb, my God, basically a trouble-free day yet again, and then right at the end something happens, doesn't get to finish. Story of her career, unfortunately, but
So like we said, theme of the day for Kyle Busch was backwards on each restart on the front row. They go for the green-white checkered at the end.
Yep.
Where's he starting? Second row, and he's good to go. And
and somebody was taking notes that did something similar at the end of the Cup race. More on that later.
Yeah, and I found it funny. It was like, because every time they went into a turn, it was like, okay, who is blowing up? Because there's Nemechek and Ross Chastain just smoking like crazy.
Just yeah,
just tire rubs. But it's like, hey, you know what?
yeah,
We're going for it. But
yeah, exactly, and that's the right attitude at one of those deals. Yeah, and Kyle Busch, comes home, wins the race, basically said thanks, and he says like, I just won. Now, kid, you got to go win tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Which was interesting.
Well, yeah, and then of course, as usual, you've got the keyboard warriors coming out talking about Kyle winning against the kids. Not saying I didn't want Kyle to win.
Yeah.
What happens if Ross Chastain takes the win there? What happens if Chase Briscoe, Cup driver, takes the win?
Yep.
I say nothing is set.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not the only Cup driver in the field.
No, and for the whiners out there, you got one more race to complain.
Yeah.
And as was said here many times, Kyle Busch isn't in that race. There's no NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
Yep.
At all.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
he took over the reins from Kevin Harvick.
He's supplying almost half the field with discount chassis, older chassis. Him running in a race, his 5 races, his 6 races that he does, that funds the whole team for the year.
Yeah, a multi-truck effort.
So,
as well as he does late model programs, he does a lot of stuff you don't.
Actually, I think he stopped the late model program this year.
Really? Oh well, yeah. Well, he's got other things on his mind, which I'm going to get into later.
Yeah.
So it was I'm going to say it. Like at this point, it was good to see Kyle getting it. Because he's padding the stats at this point, and like. I slagged him like everyone else 10 years ago, but I always respected what Darrell Waltrip said. When he says, if I start a Cup team tomorrow, he's my driver. I was like, damn straight. As much as I hate him from day one, I was like, yeah, because he seemed cocky.
Yeah.
And he was a little cocky. But you grew up with Kurt Busch as your brother. You're going to be cocky too.
And I'm going to say, the more I've gotten to know who he is, we haven't got to meet him yet.
Right.
But the more I've gotten to know the way he is, the more I've changed to be in the Kyle Busch camp.
Well,
because
I've seen the thing that put me over. The thing that put me over, Doug, was when we visited his shop, and I went, okay, he's got a sense of history. Like we could tell, like you saw the way I was pouring around on the stuff there, and he's got a fabulous shop. By far, probably the best truck series shop out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
But no, just because we've seen it being at the track. You got those drivers with the kids and the fans that are coming up to them, and we've had it happen. I've had it happen with my son. Drivers just, I don't even want to acknowledge you, whatever, because I'm the big time name driver.
Yeah.
And we've seen Kyle Busch out in the fan zones or way off from the track, that small little vendor that's set up.
Yep.
Him and Samantha will be driving by. They'll stop the vehicle, haul ass back because there's some kid wearing a Kyle Busch shirt.
Yep.
And they just
remember
walk up
one of
and
the early days of Twitter going viral when Kyle, after the win, pulls up next to the fans leaving the track, and he filmed it. Hey, you're Kyle Busch fans, eh?
No,
because he was that was the rain of booze and stuff, and holy crap, which was great to see. So yeah, that was cool. And I can't remember if I've actually seen it firsthand, but I know a lot of times Kyle, when he's riding around on the golf carts like the drivers do, right, or walking, because he will walk as well, one of the few guys that will, he's got like the Halloween packs of M&Ms in his pockets. In case there's a kid that comes up with the head-to-toe M&M's gear. Will you sign my, my usually a little 164th? Yeah. Like, my God, how hard is it to sign one of those to begin with?
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, there we are. And he laid down the gauntlet. He goes, Daddy won. Brexton, your turn.
Yes. No, I did not see how Brexton finished.
Well, see, yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah. So that gets us into Sunday.
Yes.
Thank you. The cable gods, they allowed me to view this. The cable gods didn't tell me that Sportsnet 360 is no longer part of my cable package, so I didn't get the Indy races, folks. So I can only say one thing: Jimmy Johnson wasn't man enough to show up at either race. There, I said it. That takes care of the doubleheader weekend in IndyCar. And apparently, everyone thinks with the way the downforce packages are now, they ruin the race and blah blah blah. I don't know. I didn't watch it. It's Texas. It's crazy. Screw it. So Sunday Cup race. Another non-full field in Cup, which is weird because these cars are becoming obsolete by the week.
Yeah.
Which we heard. I thought that was exactly, that ties in. Pre-race there, the 24 is driving around and they were saying how he's got the hot chassis. And they were like, yeah, we're running this chassis into the ground this year. We're going to use it everywhere. Didn't really help.
No.
It was the last we really heard of him. The race.
Yeah, so again, like another race on a Sunday that's just, yeah.
Well, it's like I was saying to you off air. By the time the second stage ended, I already forgot about the first stage because there was no cautions. There wasn't one for debris there was the competition caution.
Yeah,
at the beat. Yeah, which I forgot. Like, oh right, we do Let's be honest. There's now 4 stages to every race because there's a competition caution every damn week, and those are the only cautions we see are the stage endings and the competition cautions for the most part, because some could say it's the caliber of driver we have in the NASCAR series now. It gets stronger every year, and we're stronger to the point where cars, one, they're not pushing the engines to the limit anymore, so we don't have the blown engines unless it's an overheating issue, which is, and usually that's crew error or loose oil line, what have you. They're not pushing the alternators to the limits anymore. Remember, we used to have alternator failures every week. We used to have brake failures. We had tire failures due to aggressive camber issues. All gone. Nobody's pushing the envelope anymore. They got these spoilers where they already got a big-ass spoiler on the back, and they're like, you know what? We're going to put a clear piece just as big on top of that. So they're like freaking cars or something with these big-ass Speed Racer spoilers. Okay, sure. All this downforce and, no ride height. So they're making so much downforce. And then let's take some horsepower away. So it just glues them right to the track. What does that happen? Oh, was it boring racing because it was follow the leader? No, it was boring racing because it was just wide and everyone could race anywhere they wanted. And nobody's really faster than anybody else.
So after all that, a boring stage 1 leads to a Kyle Busch stage victory.
Yes. For the first time this year.
And I laughed when they did talk with him. When I think it was Boyer that talked with him. Yeah. He said, I thought you guys were gone. I had no idea you guys were still doing the races because they haven't talked with him at all.
Right. He's like, yeah, he should have said something. Where's Letarte and Dale Jr.? No. You haven't been doing that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, the car seemed to be doing pretty good. I'm going to mention Austin Cindric was in the race this weekend. The only time they mentioned was when he kind of wrecked at the end.
Oh, no, there was one time he made it 3 wide. He put the Wonder Kid in the middle and tried to put him back. But
there we go. Yeah. And other than that, a lot of the usual suspects running in the usual spots, right? Week to week. You can take the top 10, throw them in, put them in any order. It doesn't matter. Top 10's the top 10. But like we've seen early this year, very much, I think it could have been because of the compressed of last season that the momentum of last year seems to have carried into this year, in that it's still the usual suspects.
Yeah. Except for at the end, the finishing order in the end.
Yeah. Other than, like some of the newer teams, are doing pretty good and stuff, but they replaced the teams that were doing pretty good before.
Yeah.
So there we are. Get into the final stage.
This middle stage was kind of became, and then actually I think both start of stage 2, it became the Kyle Larson race.
Yes,
he was just controlling everything.
Right, and that's where I kind of zoned out because it was just like, all right, it was taking turns. You lead for a while, but
Yeah.
There was no aggressive passing. Like nobody was nipping as. No, it was just spaced out. I don't know. Sure, I guess still a better Kansas race than in the past when it was a flatter track. I guess I still wish when they do progressive banking, they get really progressive. Like let's have some differences. So you want to run the rim, and you get 10 degrees more banking for running the rim.
Yeah.
But make the track super wide, and you can run it flat like Darlington. If you want to use the actual race surface, because really the race surface is the runoff area, you could be 100 feet over, which I'd still love to see someone do once at Darlington. Just cut right across that one end and shave off like 100 yards.
Yeah. So Larson wins stage 2.
Yep.
And then we get the controversial act of NASCAR. Talk about. Well, yeah, I know I've now got Sirius XM back, so I was able to listen to it.
I think it's just the foil hat brigade, bitching and moaning as usual, because they got to bitch and moan about something. It's like it's nothing unusual. This has been standard practice for the last number of years, but you tell them, Doug.
Okay, so Tyler Reddick, on a pit stop.
Yep.
We have the as Daryl Waltrip used to sing to us lovely all the time about the loose wheel.
Why would you leave me, loose wheel?
So that rolls onto the infield. So then it stops on the edge of the grass, pit road, edge of the grass.
Yeah.
Comes to a nice rest. Doesn't even fall over, just stays upright.
Just trying to be a pylon in life.
And if the caution falls at that time, you have a number of the leaders caught a lap down.
Well, we can't have that, Doug.
And you have Chris Buescher leading the race.
We definitely can't have that.
With like Suarez and a couple other back drivers.
Yeah, the guys that usually stay out as long as possible, hoping to catch that caution. Yeah.
So no caution until finally Buescher, and there was one other person that really kind of held on. I forget who it was now. Until when they pit.
Yeah.
After they pit, they then throw the caution.
Yeah.
Worked out to be like 17 laps later or something.
Yeah.
That then the tire became, we need to do something about this tire 17 laps later.
Right.
So Elton
that's
Sawyer,
where that line they love to use, for the greater good of the sport.
So Elton Sawyer on Sirius XM Monday morning, I believe, gave a statement. We felt it was far enough away from the racing service, and it also was off pit road. We were in the middle of a green flag pit stop there, and we want to make sure the teams and their strategies that they have worked throughout the event, that they're able to unfoil as they played out. We don't want to get in the middle of that as the league.
Yep.
He then goes on to say, now, if it was a bona fide safety issue, then we'll have to act on that.
Right.
As he said earlier, the tire was in a position that we didn't feel. We had the safety issue. We let the strategy unfold. And once everyone played out, Okay, so if they...
More on that later, Keith.
And
hey, Keith.
If they didn't want to impact anyone's strategy, they still did by those people that stayed out.
Waiting for a caution. Yeah,
that
exactly.
was their strategy. We're going to stay out and wait for a caution. Oh,
yeah,
look,
but Doug, they don't put the butts in the seats.
We got a loose tire.
Yeah. I get it, but I get it. I get both sides of the argument. I don't know. I think they're too quick to throw the caution a lot of times. Like we saw in the truck race, a caution for a guy getting loose. They didn't throw the caution when Ryan Blaney got just as loose for 3 times as long around the track. More on that later. Oh my! Yeah. Talk about pushing and pushy loose. Well, no, you're not. Yeah. You're being pushed loose. that was epic. Like that's got to be a GIF out there somewhere, a meme now.
Oh yeah.
So
So that tire thing was at the start of stage 3.
yeah,
That was kind of almost the most exciting thing until the end.
that was pretty much yeah, and then and then getting down. Really, if you tuned in with 15 to go, that's all you needed. Actually, you know what? Tune in with 20 to go because there was some good racing the last 5 laps before they threw the caution where I think that was when Ricky Stenhouse realized he hasn't whipped a car out of shape in a week or two, because he didn't get enough coverage when he looped around doing green flag pit stops, last week. So he thought, you know what? Let's smack a wall while we're at it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricky brings out a caution, which bunches up the field, which then apparently the sanity, as we see every week, the sanity of the first 90% of the race just gets... It's when they cinch down those straps, as Larry Mack says, they're cinching down the neck strap on the helmet too much too. We know it because when they drop the green, the IQs drop along with it and just everywhere. And that's when we saw Cindric have some problems with, and Dylan, there was a few cars that got beaten up, which led to
don't hit the wall.
Yeah, another restart. Oh, and the other thing is never go to Larry Mack at the end of a race for the trends.
No. Well, I think that even happened with the tire. When they went to Larry Mack, that's when the tire, the caution for the tire came out.
Right. And then, Fox realized they can't throw it to Larry Mack with strategy.
I now just thought of something else from real early in the race, something we haven't seen in a little while.
Right.
Newman getting black flagged.
Well, he was due. Yeah, it's been a while. There's a handful of drivers that are really good at attracting black flags.
For me, it was the reason why he got black flagged.
Which was
and they said they had the wrong guy do it. They had the Jackman do it, the biggest guy.
Yeah, right. We haven't seen that since Kyle Busch.
Well, no, Brad Keselowski.
Oh, Brad Keselowski too. Yeah. And Jimmy Johnson's team got nailed for it a few times.
Yeah. But reached down, grabbed that, because when he went in to get it fixed, that Jackman put that back in very easily. Like he just had to lean on it and it went in.
Yeah.
But So that was the front fender right in front of the rear tire.
Yeah, I remember that. You remember some of those teams, that became your first pit stop adjustment because the Jackman would just throw the jack in and just hip check the car at the same time. And you would just see that kick out.
That knee would fall in, and then they give it a little tug. And
which is classic, old school racing. They'll probably throw that rule out the window next weekend because throwback and all. So get rid of pit road speed as well. Sure, why not? Cars have brakes nowadays. So it came down to a wild finish at the end where Kyle Larson thought it was still Talladega.
Yes, and again, Kyle Busch on the front row twice.
Yep.
First time spun the tires. Second time spun the tires, but had Truex on his ass, saying, "You ain't stopping. You're going." Yeah.
Larson had the same idea. Unfortunately, Ryan Blaney lost in translation because it was all right when Larson was pushing on the right rear of the bumper, but then Blaney started to get loose. Larson didn't let up, and then all of a sudden, Blaney's loose and Larson's pushing on the left rear, and then Ryan got really loose for a really long time.
Yeah.
And Larson still didn't let out the whole time. No. He's like, "You're on your own, Bubbaloo. Either spin off my bumper or go in the wall. Your dealer's choice." And Ryan thought, well, I'll just save it. And he did.
And I laughed on Twitter. Somebody posted the video of that and said, "That was awesome." And Blaney replied, "I didn't think so."
Yeah, he probably had as much right turn into it as his old man would have in a sprint car.
Yes.
Full lock. # full lock. And the driver, I said he was taking notes from the truck race. That would have been Kevin Harvick, because all of a sudden he scoots up out of nowhere to come into the second spot.
Yep.
Which was okay, sure. And he was giggling about it after the race. They're like, how'd you do that? He's damned if I know.
Yeah, which
Momentum?
good on him. He needed that. He needed a good finish.
He did. And that comes with, as Keith called it, the controversial finish where Kyle Busch, for not the first time, but for the second time now, wins on his birthday, tying himself with what other Cup driver, Doug, who has won twice on his birthday?
I'm not sure.
Well, a driver that could be considered controversial in his day as well. Cale Yarborough.
Okay, yes. I may have heard about that, yes.
Well, they mentioned it during the race when Kyle won.
How about the guy with the last name Bush winning the Bushy McBush race?
Which Kyle clued into after a minute.
Right at the end, yeah.
Yeah, at the end, he's like, hey. And I saw it. Again, he runs up, grabs the flag, high fives a couple of kids. That was cool. Yeah. You can hear the one dude just boom.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. I had a conversation with a friend via text message.
And you can tell it was one dude.
They were in agreement with me that if we would have been there, I would have taken a punch. I would have given the guy. You know what?
I was like, give it a rest after the
especially with how Kyle was. That was probably the most emotional. I forgot the word. It was emotional, most
amateur,
non-conceited.
Yep. Well, he literally almost forgot to bow, and as he said, he's got a lot going on off track.
Yeah.
Which goes back to one of the reasons not running the late model program, because Kyle was driving in those late model races quite a bit too. He and Samantha are trying for child number 2. And Brexton was a miracle unto itself.
Well, and not to go into a lot. I got the same. I know exactly what they are going through.
I was going to say, yeah, Doug knows
that, and so I know how stressful that was on us.
Mm-hmm.
Try driving a freaking race car and being in the spotlight, and Samantha's been open about everything, and yeah, so that's kind of the other reason why I've kind of gotten more to like him. But yeah, just dude, you got to.
And in Victory Lane, Kyle did not know if Brexton had won or not.
No, he didn't.
He hadn't heard yet. So, well, he was kind of busy in all fairness last few hours. So, yeah. So,
and how about how about getting back? And I asked if friend of the show, Amy, was there for the festivities when he got back to the airport, but Kyle does not fly into her airport. Kyle flies into another airport. I know the place. I can't say it here, but Kurt was there, full on mariachi band.
The airstrip we know about is that our friend works at is a low key airstrip, which it is, but people know about it. Because it'd be like knowing about Waterloo Regional Airport, right? It's there for those who need it. Corporate basically. But Kyle goes into a much lower key. We'll say that.
Actually, no, it's more of a bigger one. But anyway,
okay.
Kurt was there, full on mariachi band, beer, and I believe he did that. Kyle did that for him, or I think Kyle did that for him, Kurt's last win, or else Kurt did it for him before. One of the two.
That's good. They weren't speaking to each other for a long time.
It could have even been 2009 on his last win on his birthday.
Could have been.
But
yeah, well, that's good to hear too, because those guys were not speaking for quite a while.
No, and they are again now. So
yeah.
So Kyle wins.
So
a little bit of news.
Now we have 10 winners in 11 races, Doug.
Yes, we do.
How's your boy McDowell looking?
Fantastic. because if we get 16 winners and one of them isn't Denny, bye-bye, Michael. Denny gets your spot.
And why does Denny get a spot?
Because Denny is like 87 points ahead of Truex in the overall standings. So the regular season winner gets an automatic berth in the chase, taking that 16th spot if he doesn't have a win.
Yeah, I didn't know that rule because they change it every year because I don't care
No,
anymore.
it's been in for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They just
Well, I
haven't
guess
had to. They haven't had to invoke it.
well, that's true. It's the rule they don't want to talk about.
Because Denny's averaging like 7th in
Well,
all
yeah,
the
I was going
races
to
so
say
far.
because generally you win a race if you win the regular season. You win a race in one of those 26. Yep. Not everybody can be Matt Kenseth, which apparently killed stock car racing point systems as we know it because they had to institute the chase.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that and
that's
the
why
fact
Denny's,
that in years past when guys were clinching the championship with 4 weeks left in the season.
Yeah. That's why Denny's so happy. Like he's so far ahead in the standings.
Right.
That he's going to probably be in regardless. But
nice.
But yeah, so on to other news. Truck series.
Yes.
Lineup change for one of the truck teams, and I've got no idea what's going on. GMS and Raphael Lessard cut ties on Monday.
Really?
Yes. After his another top 10 finish for him.
I was going to say he's been pretty much their top driver.
So what I heard was because of sponsorship stuff. Now, GMS, you have 4 drivers. Sheldon Creed, no sponsor on the truck.
And defending series champion.
Yes. Zane Smith, number 2.
Title contender.
No sponsorship on the truck.
Nope.
Tyler Ankram's got a sponsor.
Yep, because he brings a sponsor.
Raphael Lessard has had a Canadian sponsor on his truck.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lessard's, if the sponsor's Canadian, chances are Lessard's bringing it.
Yes. So what's your sponsorship issue? Because you got 2 trucks that are blank. So, yeah. So Raphael Lessard
looking for a ride. GMS wanted to start spreading Lessard's sponsors around to the other trucks, and they're like, no. Like, we are a Quebec-based company. We are sponsoring a Quebec-based driver. That's how we roll in Quebec. And FYI, American Truck Series owners, Cup Series owners, if you're going to want to deal with Quebec companies, they really like Quebec drivers because they can do entire Francophone campaigns based around these drivers that you'll never see in America. But they get saturated in the Quebec market.
Mm-hmm. So that's my stuff. And now that I do have SiriusXM back, I do have a laugh. I get my laugh of the day all the time with different callers.
Mm-hmm.
One guy I kind of text you back and forth. One that gave me a little bit of a laugh. Just because one guy called in today that he doesn't watch the truck series too much because too many Toyotas win. So he now records the races. All the races, and if a Toyota driver wins, he doesn't watch. But if someone from another team wins and he hears it's a good race, he'll watch it then.
So he thinks he's sticking it to NASCAR by watching races where he already knows the outcome, therefore ruining the excitement of the race for himself. And he probably thinks it's a ratings thing, even though by recording the race, you've given them your rating as a viewer anyways, because that's how it works. It doesn't count if you record it and delete it without watching it.
It's more, he doesn't like that there's a, and yes, we are Canadian, but he doesn't like that there's a non-American company winning the race.
Even though they're the only ones building the vehicles that they field in America.
Not done yet. Which is why he also watches the NASCAR Pinty Series out of Canada because they all run Dodges. And there's very few Toyotas. And even Mr. Moody, in his infinite wisdom, said, so what you're saying is you're happy to watch the non-American German owner more than the Japanese owner of a truck.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you, Keith. Yeah.
to top it off, this guy also says that he brings 2 sets of binoculars when he attends a race, so that he can see the big
red
screen
helicopter.
better. To see the big screen, but he's able to focus on the big screen to see the drivers inside their cars on the big screen. Yeah.
Takes all kinds.
Oh yes.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've already gotten into overtime, so we should do somewhat of a...
Or fine to go, because we're going to a track that I have experience at.
Well, I understand that, but we're also
Darlington.
trying to keep the podcast to a certain length.
Yeah, screw it. So, exactly 14 years ago this weekend, I was in Darlington on Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
So, which kind of made me question what's going on this weekend, because they're running Trucks Friday, Xfinity Saturday, Cup on Sunday, Mother's Day.
Yeah, they don't usually do that.
Well, because when I was in Darlington, the then Busch Series ran on the Friday night, Cup Series Saturday.
Yeah, because the Cup Series doesn't run on Mother's Day.
Well, exactly. So what happened when I was there was the Busch race ran on the Friday night. It rained all night into all day Saturday. And so we got word in the campground that more on that in a minute there, Jeremy Smith. I
forgot to mention just one other thing on Kansas. I predicted Kyle Busch to win Kansas, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
Just saying. Because I'm going to predict the winner this week too. So I'm just saying.
Okay. So it rained all day. Word in the campground, because I could actually see that from my campground, I could see the track. Word came down that they are not going to run, that they're going to run Monday because they couldn't run Saturday night because of Mother's Day.
Right.
That word came down about 5:30 that Saturday night. Then all of a sudden at 6:30, it came down. They went to all the moms and they got the okay to race on Sunday. So the drivers all got their mother's okay to race on Sunday. And then they should have waited till Monday because Jeff Gordon won the race. And
I get it. Yep. So it's a throwback weekend this weekend. They're not waiting till Labor Day. I think all the races at Darlington are going to be throwback races, it seems.
I think so.
It seems like, complete with the Goodyear Blue Streak tires this weekend. Great throwback. What else we got going? Yeah, a bunch of cars doing throwbacks in the various series.
How about the Xfinity? You'll like them. Ty Gibbs running the original 18 Dale Jarrett Interstate Batteries car.
Right. Nice. I like that. I did see, and I wonder if it's going to come back. We actually saw at the Bristol Dirt Race in the Truck Series, the Bob McCready throwback paint scheme. So I like to see that go to Darlington. That would be cool. But I looked. There's a lot. There was a nice one. I will say the 24, because they got the Valvoline sponsorship. They're going with a Neil Bonnet throwback. To like the 80s when it was Neil, Benny Parsons, a variety of guys were running the Valvoline colors at that time. So really nice to see. Tribute to Neil Bonnet, great driver, and he did well at Darlington a number of times. So unfinished business for Truex at Darlington. So you think he's going to get her done this weekend?
My throwback would be the Martin Truex Jr. at Darlington, complete with the stripe picture I took from my seat. He autographed down here. That wasn't me. That was him. But yeah, I would love to see the DEI colors come back. That I love that car. That actually, another trivia fact, that was COT race number 2.
Right.
And the weekend that Dale Jr. said, "I'm done with DEI."
Right. Yep. Little bit of conversation around the campfires that weekend.
Oh, it was a whole bunch.
No doubt. So I take it you're picking Truex as usual. You seem to pick him every week.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin.
I was going to say him or Denny.
Yeah. So which makes our earlier conversation regarding the point system mute. So McDowell might still have a chance if Denny wins this weekend. So I think Michael McDowell has become the biggest Denny Hamlin fan in a while.
Other wild card is, again, another guy who hasn't won yet would be Harvick.
Harvick, yep. Exactly. Yeah, well, let's just a little quick, like who hasn't won yet that would have a chance, because a lot of the usual guys do now have that win under their belt.
Well, okay, so there's Denny, there's Harvick.
Yep. Keselowski usually does well at Darlington. He's won.
Brad's got a win. Got a win.
He's got the win. Larson's got a win.
Blaney have a win?
No. And Blaney does well at Darlington.
Wonder Kid doesn't have a win yet.
No.
What?
Really? Wonder Kid doesn't have a win yet?
The only Hendrick car.
But he's like the best driver in the history of NASCAR, Doug. How does he not have a win? Oh, right. We haven't hit all the workhorses yet.
We've hit one, and he didn't do well.
Right. Well, that was because the fix was in, though. That was a fix or something. Yeah. So there we are. Any other thoughts, concerns? Oh, I should mention that speaking of Valvoline, what was we're all corporate going, we're not going to touch that guy. Valvoline stepped up. They're going to be a full primary sponsor on a couple of races for Kyle Larson later this year.
Nice.
So he is picking up sponsor.
Next gen car.
Yep.
Will be unveiled tomorrow.
Yep.
And then they will run the next gen car in the Pro Invitational iRacing Series tomorrow night.
Sure. Why not? Because it matters. Sure.
And I seen today that as of Thursday, any of you PS4 or the PlayStation game fans that play the Rocket League game, I know my son plays it, on Thursday the 6th, you'll be able to, I guess, buy, download, whatever, Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, and Chase Elliott in that game.
Yay.
Just putting it out there.
I'd races Ryan Newman.
No.
Certainly not racing on the
It's not. It's like you're playing soccer kind of thing with vehicles on a big round circle of your field. I don't know. I don't get it.
Kids. Sure. Yeah, if it leads them into the world of NASCAR, good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So there we are. Look forward to Darlington. Always one of my favorite racetracks because they haven't really messed it up over the years. I guess the biggest change was adding the safer barrier, which made a narrow groove even narrower. Oh, it'll never work. Yeah, it worked. So there we are.
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of Doug and myself, this has been NasCanucks. What?
Last thing.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
Yes.
Because we haven't talked about it yet, and I don't know, Ben doesn't really want to bring it up. Next week, we will be talking about the All-Star race. Because there's some stuff was put out this week for the All-Star race.
There
where
we
we'll
go.
be able to talk, and Ben will be able to show his overjoyment with 6 stages of racing.
Oh, God. All right. On behalf of Doug, I'm Ben. We've been NasCanucks, presented by Vibraprint, your custom printing something or other. I don't know. Look them up. They're good. They're cool guys. There we are. And you have one last thing to say?
See you, Marcus.